Hey, welcome to the second part of our orientation for the business strategy game. This time we're going to talk about the big picture because starting directly within the simulation is actually probably not the best way to start. So thinking about the big picture definitely makes things a lot easier to understand. So let's start by understanding that we are competing within the athletic footwear industry. Our basic scenario is that you are operating a global footwear manufacturing company, and therefore you're responsible for developing the strategy and making all decisions. Your strategy and decisions are compared to your competitors, and the results are reported at the conclusion of each year. Based on the results, you'll adjust your strategy and decision making for the upcoming year. Please know there is just one winner in our competition, but all companies can be profitable and successful. And it is also possible for a company to go bankrupt. The simulation follows real situations with real statistics in real trends, but conditions are not necessarily current. Further details about the simulation are provided at www.bsg-online.com, and their simulation overview is also another good place to begin. So since this is a simulation about a footwear manufacturer, let's take a look at our channels of distribution. You can visualize this process with working in the simulation. It should be easier to understand the decisions you are making. First, we're going to start with production. So we produce shoes, athletic footwear, and we therefore need to make decisions regarding the production of those shoes. We have branded shoes. These are the shoes where the name on the shoe is ours. So, for example, might be Dynamic Footwear, and therefore we would sell the Dynamic brand. Based upon demand, we'll distribute our brand of shoes to a series of warehouses. In turn, the warehouses are going to sell at wholesale price to a retailer. This is your final customer in this channel, is the retailer. The retailer, in turn, will charge and sell shoes to the customers. You're not responsible for selling to the customers in that channel. You're only responsible for the wholesale price to the retailer there. But we also have a percentage of our demand coming directly through our website. And therefore, we will sell directly to the consumer through our website. And we would therefore sell those shoes at retail price. Still being produced by us, they're our brand. One channel is to go through a retailer to get to the consumer. The other channel is to go direct internet to that same consumer. The final channel of distribution that we have is for what we call private label. Remember, these first two channels were our brand. Well, a private label is actually some large retailers. You might consider someone like Walmart or Target that would want to have their name placed on the shoes. So they actually don't care who makes the shoes, just as long as it fits within their specifications. They're going to do all of the marketing of the shoes and all the distribution of the shoes once they receive them. So you can compete with other footwear manufacturers for their business. We call this private label. And we're going to sell those shoes at even a lower cost because we don't have to monitor the entire channel of distribution, nor are we selling them directly to the consumer. So we're just going to sell them at how much it costs us, and as long as it fits within the bid. So our competitors, our industry is competitors, and we are currently in what is our 10th year. Each of our competitors are in the exact same situation as we are. So we compete in 4 different segments across the world. We compete in North America, Latin America, Europe, Africa, and Asia Pacific. Currently, however, we only produce the shoes in North America, and we have another plant in Asia Pacific. But we do sell the shoes in all 4 regions of the globe. So this illustration shows how our production is organized throughout the world at the start of our simulation. It's important to know that you can make any changes you feel are necessary. So let's start off by taking a look at North America. In North America, we have a production facility, we have a warehouse, we sell online, we sell through retailers, and we sell the private label. Asia Pacific is virtually the same. The difference is you'll notice that we have larger production facilities in Asia. In Europe, Africa, as well as Latin America, we simply have warehouses, internet sales, retail sales, and private label. We currently have no manufacturing capabilities there. But we can distribute to all 4 corners. So Asia Pacific can distribute shoes to Europe. North America can distribute shoes to Latin America. North America could go to Europe. Asia could go there. We can distribute in any manner that we feel that we want to. So next, it's to understand what is a decision year. A decision year is when each company is operating their business and strategic decisions to increase market share, improve their profitability, and ensure the company is fulfilling its investors' expectations. To do this within the simulation software, we begin each year by examining the results of the previous year. The reports allow us to see how each company is performing, what is happening within the industry throughout each market segment, and to evaluate how well or how poorly our company is performing. We then choose the best strategy we can take to improve our performance and beat the competition. These decisions are made all the way up until the decision deadline. So we can make or alter any decision we want, but once the deadline is reached, any decisions that we've saved within the simulation are used to evaluate our performance. So in essence, the simulation is taking the input from each company, comparing them, and providing the results. So at the beginning of a decision year, what we do is we review industry and competitor reports. We choose the best strategy for our company's success, and then we make decisions for the year. The entire time until the next deadline, which would be, in this case, at the end of year 11, we can make as many choices as we want, but we will not know the actual results until the end of that year. So it might look something like this. Simulation actually runs from the years 11 through 20. Years 1 through 10 happened before you took over as managers. Therefore, you don't have to worry about establishing demand or any costs associated with the new business. And we all share the same historical data to make sure the competition is fair. During the simulation, you'll also prepare a 3-year plan. But let's take a look here. So we have year 11, we'll have a deadline. We'll then make our decisions, and then we'll run the decisions again at year 12 to see the results. And we'll do that each year as we go throughout the simulation, all the way through to year 20. There will be a time where we have a 3-year plan. And the 3-year plan, what we'll have to do is we'll have to predict what the outcomes of our decisions will be for 3 years. We'll have more on that later. So to help orient everyone, we're also going to have 2 practice years. So we're going to have practice year 11 and practice year 12. I want you to think of these like an open hand of cards, where everybody places their cards face up and helps someone new learn the game. That's what we're going to be doing in what we call practice year 11 and practice year 12. And then we'll reset and go right back to year 11 as though nothing happened. So within the simulation, you will see that we'll have decision years, and it'll have our deadlines. These are not the ones for your simulation, but every scored round, you see the 2 practice years, they're not scored. And then the scored rounds, we have 11 through 20, and then there'll be certain deadlines as to when all of your decisions are processed. You'll also receive a scorecard, and the scorecard will be based on how well your decisions did compared to your competitors. So how we score the simulation are basically on 5 criteria. The scoring metrics are earnings per share, how profitable are we? What's the return on equity, so how are our owners, our investors gaining? What is our stock price? Our credit rating, how well are we managing our credit? And what type of image do we have within the marketplace? So each of these items is scored off of 20 points. When you add them all up, it would be 100 points. But we're going to look at them from 2 points of view. The first point of view is what we call best in industry. So the best in industry is how are you doing compared to your competitors? In here, only one company can have the best earnings per share. And since that one company does have the best earnings per share, would score 20 points. And then there would also therefore be a company that has the worst earnings per share, and then they would have lower than 20 points. So there's only going to be one company that can possibly get 20 points on that metric. Of course, a different company might have the best stock price in the industry, in which they would get those 20 points, and then other companies would fall behind. So this is a relative score where you are scored in relation to your competitors. We can have one best and one worst. The other way we look at these measurements is how are we doing compared to what our investors want to see. So we call these investors' expectations. So our investors, we can all satisfy our investors. So if our investors say we want to see a particular earnings per share, well, we may all meet the expectations of those investors. And therefore, all of us can score that 20 points. We might even exceed our investors' expectations, which means we could actually score higher than 20 points. And we could do this for all 5 of the criteria. So this is an absolute score because all of us have the ability to meet our individual investors' expectations. But not all of us can be best in the industry for these particular criteria. So we take a look at these 5 scores, or these 5 items, and then we score them, 1, compared to everybody in the industry, and then simply compared to the expectations our investors have given us. And that gives us an overall score, of which we take this is weighted at 50%, and this is weighted at 50%, giving us an overall score. This overall score gives your ranking within the simulation. So there is an important note. On every screen within the simulation, there is a help button, and it provides line-by-line explanations of each item and how to make effective use of the information on the reports and the parameters of all of our decisions. So what I want to do is first go through the decision-making process. How do you actually process all of this information? First thing we do is we review the footwear industry report. Things such as our company's performance, we take a look at the financial performance, celebrity endorsements, everything that goes along within the industry. Everybody has access to that report. We then go over our own company operating reports, of which only we can see. We take a look at competitive intelligence. What are our competitors doing? And all of us get to see that. And once we reviewed that information, we begin making our choices. We then review the projections of those choices. Remember, we don't get to actually see the results until the deadline. You can print your decision entries or save them, and then, of course, save the decisions. And then once all the decisions are saved, at the deadline, we process the report. So that's an overview of the big picture. I would recommend reading the player's manual as well as looking through the decision screens and orienting yourself with the help videos on within the simulation itself, and of course rewatching this if necessary. Next week, we will go through decision by decision, and we'll take a look at every single decision screen, and we'll also look at all of the reporting. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks.